I'm shooting particles out, and in my room, specifically with telekinesis. Hey, it's Jesse again. So this is my second day of knowledge sessions on recording my blog knowledge from the past half decade or so here in Seattle. So last time I was talking about COVID and how it relates specifically to, and I'm going to move it from this moment on to something else. I'm just going to call it Psionic Brain technology because it really has too many roots nowadays specifically related to the virus. So to kind of affirm it any further is going against its productive value. So I'm just going to say it's Psionic Brain technology, and it is a degree of a governing body here on the planet Earth, and it's non-terrestrial technology. So my experience with it initially was not one experience. It was a progression. So the heads-up display shows up during a meditation, and I have projects I have to accomplish. Essentially, it shows you programs that interact with your brain that you can use to strengthen specific psychic brain muscles and parts of the brain that are directly related to psychic light projection, the psychic energy body itself, and chakra psychics. So that has to do specifically with the 7 chakras and the spinning motion that they create along the body, throughout the whole body. So the programs have somewhat of a tutorial built into each of them, and they are rapid based. They really don't let you rest, and you have to just kind of go with it. And when the display system shows up, it's not like you get to turn it off suddenly. It's on, and it was essentially turned on during September of 2019 for me, and I had to wake up with this every single day, a heads-up display screen, and I had projects that I had to accomplish, literally just working on brain technology and brain strength and interacting with this specific program. So probably the second, third month, by November, I'd really just been going at it every single day. Meditation. It would be probably for 5-6 hours a day at home with crystal psychics, and then also outside of the house doing cardio, specifically walking and biking around the city of Redmond and Bellevue, which is right next door to Redmond here. So it was a full workout. It wasn't really easy to accept at first that this was happening, because you have almost a degree of powerlessness built in when you recognize that what you had been doing or what you had believed you were doing wasn't the complete system. So it was like tutorial. It was like landing on a new planet for the first time, realizing you don't know how to behave in the environment, and you have to relearn essentially every bit of knowledge you have about the physics, the structure of how you interact with the terrain you're in, because the brain technology actually adds a completely different layer and level of energy that you get to interact with. So, for example, the best way that I can describe it is that if your psychic abilities are completely developed, and say you're another species and you've completely developed your psychic capacity, and maybe you live on another part of the galaxy, your brain's capacity to create material out of its visualizations is going to be 100%. As in, when you visualize something, it materializes out of the physical atomic structure around us at 100% rate. That is going to be the maximum value of your creative capacity with psychics. So when it's first introduced, it's baby steps. You have to learn how to literally just move really small particles around really simple structures of the brain, because you have to kind of rethink all the parts of our visual memory that we have. It contains so much information that if we were just to project everything that we had in our memory, it would actually be very dangerous for us, because we don't have specific controls and containers around parts of our brain that might be specifically allocated for safety, things that we naturally learn just from experiencing the reality we have here. So you have to slowly grow that. Initially, it starts with a third eye exercise, and I'll include some books and links. When you look up chakra meditation on YouTube, or even if you look it up online, you quickly find it's got a education level to it. It's always going to start with calming your mind, quieting the mind, meditation, really focusing your thoughts and narrowing in. But it gets a little bit fuzzy after that, because you have to complete the steps to get to the next level of it. So once you've learned how to clear your mind, settle yourself, that's the first level of it. The second level of it will make itself known to you when your brain is capable of processing that kind of information. It's actually physically relayed through the Psionic Brain technology how developed your psychic centers of the brain are continually. So it's like a map. If you're ready for level 2 or level 3 of psychics, it's already transmitted, relayed to a data system, and they can basically just decide whether or not you're suited for continuing your kind of education. And I promised myself I would stop saying because when I edited these last videos, I said it like 1,000 times, and I never realized that. Okay, so it starts with a third eye meditation exercise, and you learn to spin particles really fast. When you think of spin, maybe we're like, okay, we'll look around, I'm in a car, so my tires are spinning. But when we think of spin on a galaxy perspective, we're talking about huge planetary bodies. They hold so much mass and power. And even the one that we're on at the current moment, Earth, or maybe you're on another planet, is hurling through the galaxy at about 500,000 miles per hour. So it's an extremely fast speed, and it requires a lot of balance and focus to be able to move even tiny particles a little distance when you're moving at that speed. And since chakras are directly related to all the planetary bodies mapped on the chakra systems themselves, that's why quieting the mind is so important. Because if you move one particle a small distance at 500,000 miles per hour, it's actually going a very far distance, and it's creating a lot of energy with it as well. So you start with simple third eye exercises, and I'll show a really amazing book that kind of, again, it just introduced itself to me. It was like, wow, this is what I have to be reading now, that shows you all about activating the psychic energy body, and it's a real workout. I mean, you'll spend, it says, it's actually called astral projection, and you're supposed to do it in 90 days. It's more like a full doctorate degree, and you have to apply it like bodybuilding. You can't let go of it. You have to be routine about it. So 90 days is more like it's going to be part of you eat breakfast in the first part of the day. Well, you're probably going to also be activating your energy body in the first part of the day, so that you have it throughout the rest of the day. When the third eye is actually, well, for my first experience when it was opened, again, it's really fast, high vibration, and you're connected to all the planetary systems. So immediately, other parts of my brain are trying to manage it. It's telekinetic. I'm shooting particles out, and in my room, and they're hitting things, and stuff is moved by particles, but inadvertently. So it's like jumping into a really fast vehicle or a really fast airplane, and someone telling you that you need to start piloting it. You just have to be on the go, and you have to be really quick about how you're going to manage it. that wasn't actually my favorite part, and I honestly have not continued that specific type of exercise. I truthfully have more practical designs for my energy body than moving objects. For other users, maybe that's not the case. So another part, not specifically with telekinesis, but in the projection of light itself, when you've activated certain parts of the psychic energy body in your brain, you can start moving less dense particles of light matter around in your peripheral vision that physically interact with the environment. So it's kind of like telekinesis light. It's not there to be like a blast of energy that you're going to go knock stuff around with, but that you are able to highlight and really exercise those kinds of muscles so that you can take really light bits of energy particles and then condense them if you want to move something, and then relax it and kind of put it back into less dense material. And that's actually part of the training. It highly interacts with the crystal equipment. So I'll make an entire video just devoted to specific types of crystals that activate different parts of the psychic energy body and how you can use those and put them together. Just to name a few, I think the top one, and it's a really beautiful stone, maybe I'll include a picture of it. It's a specific type of mineral that came out of Oregon. It's kind of like a light pink. It's called lace blue agate. And this specific type of stone, when you have enough of it, and in my practice what I was able to do is just build a really functional crown, is essentially, if you cover all parts of the brain in a thin layer of this material and practice psychic energy meditation and third eye stimulation, it almost 100% just immediately connects and interacts with the light parts of the brain. So it's like turning on a really bright halogen flashlight, and you can just immediately see all different types of energies around you. And so that really helps highlight them. So that specific type of stone helps you move and focus your energy just on those specific parts of the brain so that you can utilize them more. And again, I'll include another video with that specifically. So following my experience with that initial kind of energy that was introduced to me of condensed light matter or telekinesis, where you're moving, well, I mean, it's really how you look at it, because we move everything with our mind. Our brain is connected to our hands, it's connected to our legs, all of the body parts we have. So everything is really telekinetic, but when you're moving the light systems, you're not using your hands as much. So another part of this kind of training program is its customization. So I'm given a heads-up display, and I'm also given a substantial amount of autonomy while I'm going through different processes. So it gives me a chakra light body map. Through specific meditations, they activate, deactivate, show me exactly what it feels like to have them running. And it can be kind of intense because it really feels like spinning light visually, but on the physical body, it feels like someone just introduced a turbine into you. So you physically feel the part of your body rotating, sometimes very fast. So a specific chakra that is described in the Jewish Kabbalah called the HOD, and it's located on the right abdomen, the right lower side of the body. And if you think of how in medical science we've mapped the human brain to kind of display creativity through the left side and more logic and science through the right side of the body as the brain is wired, we notice there's clear distinction and uniqueness about each part of the body. So the HOD specifically is really susceptible to programming and adaptation. So one of the things that pick up really quickly, or at least I did, is that they made an effort to activate it in a way that was highly gravitational, powerful, and with an intent on specific planetary leadership. So when you think of, my initial experience with the heads-up display, it being a little bit offsetting that it was already part of my system and not conscious of it, that was an even farther step into, great, now I'm responsible for the rest of the planet. So I have to put that into my heart and put that into my physical choices I make and into my leadership as a whole. So that was really a big move and a big jump, going from just learning the psychology of leadership to business management, and then going directly into planetary leadership. I wasn't really sure how I was going to respond to it. I get asked this question a lot. What do you have in your hands there? So there's a couple key things that are really important, and you can recognize them, and I recognize them specifically in the field I was in. Covered a lot of technology, human technology initially, but I found it peculiar that a large portion of the population has their hands placed on a mouse clicker. Even when I go to maybe edit this video, I'll be using a desktop computer. It became very apparent that that is actually a method of programming, because the chakra systems run specifically through the hands. So if you use a computer mouse every day, what you are actually using is interacting with your hand chakras on a daily basis. So a lot of people ask me, Jesse, what do you have in your hands? So I have amethyst, and in a previous video I talked about how the planet 7, Uranus, is connected to the 7th chakra, the crown chakra, and how that specific planet is so fundamental to human balance here on Earth because of the perpendicular axis that it spins on is completely unique to its size. So there's no other planet in our solar system on Earth here that does that, specifically with the color purple and the 7th chakra through the light spectrum. So amethyst is a really powerful balancing tool. So if you're not holding, a cell phone in your hand or some other type of device, a mouse, I highly recommend amethyst, because it's going to help you balance the energetic portions of your hands, and it runs through the palms of your hands, also through some of the fingertips. And that will really help calm, energize, and naturally enhance the psychic parts of your brain and help you connect with them over time. So it might seem a little rare. For example, this one in my right hand I've had in my hand for literally 3.5 years now, and I haven't put it down. The second one I had to pick up last year. It became apparent that the staff I had literally wasn't going to be enough balance. Even though it did have amethyst on it, it was not productive enough to balance the type of energies I was looking for. So, continuing down chakra psychics and psychic abilities and powers, another one that becomes really clear, and this might be small on a scale for a non-terrestrial being, but here on Earth it becomes really obvious, is lightning psychics. And lightning psychics is exactly what it sounds like. You're essentially learning how to manage and channel large bodies of electron energy. And you could do this again through meditation. So that was another really powerful experience in my training, learning to use crowns and staves, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, full energy body suits. So we're talking about full crystal gear, equipment that you wear, 30 pounds of material. So, and that's necessary to manage and operate those kind of larger energy bodies.